There are a lot of opinions and tons of information out there about how to be successful selling on Etsy. You can literally spend hours upon hours listening to how-to videos and consuming content on the subject. It can all start to feel really overwhelming and even lead to that dreaded analysis paralysis we can face when we feel like there's just too many steps in front of us, which is why I'm making this video. As a multiple six-figure Etsy seller who's been selling on Etsy for over 8 years, I've had some time to analyze and figure out what helped bring me to that level of success and what things I did that really didn't matter at the end of the day. I want to help you cut through the noise and really focus on the strategies and tactics that are going to truly move the needle for your Etsy business. So today I'm sharing the top 4 decisions I made to bring my Etsy shop to the top 1%, the main 4 key tactics that you can and should implement to hear those cha-chings and start seeing consistent sales. Now, before we dive into these 4 steps, I want to let you know I have a free Etsy Success Quick Start Guide. If you're interested in getting some actionable steps for starting a successful Etsy shop from the beginning, you can download that. I have the link for that in the description box of this video. And it's going to give you an easy to follow plan for starting and growing your profitable Etsy shop from the ground up. It walks you through exactly what I would do if I could start again and tell myself these are the things you need to do from day one to absolutely skyrocket your shop from the beginning. So I'm giving that to you as a free gift so that you can start your Etsy business off on the right foot. So definitely grab that with the link below after you watch this video. Okay, so the first thing that I did that I feel like really set my shop off on the right foot was to offer products that people were already searching for. I can't tell you how many times I've seen people start a brand new Etsy shop and consider what product they should sell, and then they decide on something just because they like it. It's something that is their taste, what they would buy, and so they put it up on Etsy and only hear crickets in their shop with no sales coming in because they didn't base their product decisions on data and research. They only based it on what they personally liked, which a lot of times might be different than what the current market demand is. So I put this as the first crucial step because it's absolutely crucial to validate the thing that you're thinking of offering, both broad product category and style-wise, to make sure that what you're spending hours and hours of time creating to offer to people is something that's actually being searched. So the main idea here is that we're not reinventing the wheel. We're not trying to think of brand new products that have never been sold before and inventing something completely new. We're doing some research on the Etsy platform to see what Etsy shoppers are currently looking for and pinpointing what types of products and what style elements are really in demand so that we can help meet that market demand. If there's no market demand for what you're selling, you're likely not going to be getting many sales at all. And I want to put your mind at ease here and let you know that getting inspiration from other listings that you see on Etsy is not copying. I hear people say a lot, well, I don't want to copy someone else. I don't want to copy anyone else's product. But here's the thing. You can get inspiration and ideas and then put your own twist and your own spin on it to make it uniquely yours. Most product types at this point have been thought of and are probably already being sold on the platform, but that doesn't mean that you can't do something different with it, incorporate some different elements, and level it up to have the most appealing and irresistible offer on Etsy. So I start by going through Etsy, looking in the niche that I'm thinking of offering, checking out the best-selling listings, and identifying patterns of what I'm seeing in those listings that are selling consistently. Success leaves clues, so we're looking at what's already having success, basing our decisions on that data, and putting our own twist on it to make it even better. I've sold lots of different things on Etsy over the years, but some personal examples of when I've done this in my business is back when I started, I was selling wood signs, and I had a specific type of wood sign I wanted to sell. I had already validated that the phrase that I wanted to put on that sign was very popular at the time, but I noticed on Etsy when I searched for that type of sign, all of them were using vinyl decals to stick the words onto the sign. I decided to learn a handwritten technique where I would actually paint the words on instead of using vinyl, and this gave me a quality and unique product that was still based on the data, but gave my product a unique spin. So it was very different than anything else that was being offered in that category, and it became a bestseller because it was literally the only one that I found, at least, that was hand painted. Later on, I switched to selling wreaths on Etsy. I did some product research to see what type of holiday wreaths were selling well, and I found that a lot of the best-selling wreaths had used a specific pattern. So I knew that pattern would be in demand and would make sales, but most of the wreaths that I saw on Etsy were using a mesh material ribbon. I didn't love the look of the mesh ribbon, and I wanted to find something that was more flannel material. So sure enough, I was able to find that pattern in the trending colors in a flannel ribbon and used that in my wreaths instead of the mesh. mesh, making mine uniquely different and making it stand out from the crowd. That wreath quickly became a bestseller and sold out multiple times because it was the only one with that trending pattern that used that specific material. So these are just a few examples of how I was able to make data-driven product decisions, offer something that I knew was in demand currently, but put my own unique twist on it. Now, if you're looking at these best-selling listings in your niche and you're trying to rack your brain for what you could do differently, but you can't think of anything, one of my go-to suggestions that works every time to level up a listing and make it more appealing is to offer either more variation options or customization options. Etsy buyers love customizing things. It's a huge reason why a lot of people choose to shop on Etsy. So if you can think of how to offer more variation options like size choices, color choices, or even offering personalization, that's going to automatically give your listing the edge over the competition. All right, key number 2 that really helped take my Etsy shop to that next level of success was that I focused on professional looking photos. Now, there are a ton of different types of photos you can use for your listings, everything from photos that you actually take to mock-up photos if you're selling digital products. So you have a lot of different options for this, but I want to quickly go through the few things that I made sure to level up and improve in my listing photos that really started helping those sales come in more consistently. So first, let's talk about if you're actually taking your own photos. The top most important thing I would encourage you to look at is your lighting. Your source of light truly will make or break your photos. There are different lighting options from using natural light to using continuous light, and I would encourage you to experiment with some different things. But my favorite lighting source and what I always go to first is using natural light because I just feel like it makes it look so much more professional. So when I say natural light, I'm talking about using light that's coming in either through an open window or an open door. You're using the natural daylight to light up your photo as much as possible. So a couple of things you want to think of when you're deciding on how your lighting should be set up. Number 1 is the direction your light is coming from. This is going to affect how the product looks in the photo as well as any shadows that are in the photo. The last thing you want is for these harsh shadows to show up over your product and be really distracting. You also don't want a huge light source coming from behind your product because that's going to make it even harder for your product to be seen as well. My go-to setup is natural light, most of the time an open window, sweeping in from across the side, or coming in and shining directly on the product, making sure that the product is not being overexposed with too much direct, harsh sunlight. So you don't want it to be too dim or too dark, but you also don't want it to be too bright and overexposed. You want to find a nice middle ground where the product is lit up well so every detail can be seen, but the lighting is not causing any distracting shadows or anything that would take the focus away from the actual product itself. You also want to think about the color temperature of your photos so that they don't appear too warm or cool toned. One easy way to make sure to get this right is to calibrate your white balance using a gray card. I'll have the one that I use linked in the description box below if you're interested. They're very inexpensive and easy to set your white balance ahead of time, which basically just tells your camera what the lighting situation is like in the current circumstance so that it knows how to correctly show the right color temperature. Now, other than the lighting, the next thing you want to think about is your background and your surface. So what is actually behind your product and what is your product actually sitting on? I would always suggest you go for something completely neutral and undistracting, or if you're wanting more of a staged photo, something trendy. I know back when I started on Etsy, there were tons of different listing photos with people using white wrinkly sheets in the background, which did not help bring in sales at all. Thankfully, we've leveled up a lot since then, but just to remind you, you want it to be professional looking. So you definitely don't want to just throw up a wrinkly sheet or anything similar to that. You want to put some thought into what your surface and backgrounds are, whether it just be a blank wall or a blank desk underneath, or if you have a little bit of a budget to spend, you can order something like backdrop boards that can serve as a backdrop or a surface to give it a little bit more of that trendy look. You can get them in different textures like concrete or wood, but it's a great, pretty affordable option for leveling up your background. You can also use a light box kit if you have products that are small enough to fit inside. This is a great solution for those smaller products to get a really professional look with the whole kit included. Or of course, if you are selling digital products, you can use mock-up images, which are images that are already created that you can purchase to layer your design on top of. So let's say you're selling a digital workbook file, but you don't want to actually print out that workbook and take an actual picture of the printed out workbook. You can search websites like Creative Fabrica or Creative Market to get professional looking mock-up images to use. And lastly, I would really encourage you to look at doing some edits after you're done taking your photos using an app like the Lightroom mobile mobile app. This doesn't have to be fancy at all, and I know it sounds intimidating, but if you know just a few things that you can do with your editing app, then it will definitely level up your photos. So these are things like cropping it to the right ratio or size, increasing the brightness if it looks a little too dim, or even using a tool to get that blurry background look. There are so many fun things that you can do with your editing after taking the photos, so I definitely would recommend that you look into it, and even if it's just a few simple things to make your photos look more polished and professional, it'll be worth it in the end. Okay, moving on to step number 3, and that is that I optimized my shop and listings using SEO. SEO stands for Search Engine Optimization, and this is basically how we use keywords in our listings in our shop to tell the Etsy algorithm what exactly our listing is all about to make sure that it can show it to the right shoppers. The job of the Etsy algorithm is basically to take a shopper's query or the phrase that they typed into the search bar and figure out which listings out of all the different Etsy listings that are available are a match for that shopper's query, and then to determine how it's going to rank them and which ones should be shown first. So the way that we as sellers position our listings to be found and discovered and ranked high in the search is by using highly searched keyword phrases that are accurately describing our product. The more accurately we can actually describe what our product is using those phrases that shoppers are already typing in, the more likely the algorithm will show our listing to the right people, which means we're more likely to make sales, which then increases our listing's quality score and ranks it higher. The higher it's ranked, the more it's found, the more likely it is to make sales, and it's sort of like a cycle that continues on, increasing our sales. So the first step of this is to do some research to figure out what phrases are people actually typing in, because there are certain ways that people word things and look for things online that we have to make sure are plugged into the right places in our listing. So the first thing that is so important when we're thinking about optimizing with SEO and deciding on what keywords we're going to use is to think like our target customer as opposed to describing things technically. So for instance, if my product is a t-shirt, instead of including in the first phrase in my title something like cotton and polyester t-shirt, most people don't really type in cotton or polyester. They don't care what it's made of. They're thinking of what's on the t-shirt. So I might instead say something like funny dad shirt. Now, this is not to say that you would never include the material in this specific example. If it's something that is highly searched or very specific, like a bamboo material maybe, you would include that in the title, but we're primarily thinking of how our target customer would describe this as opposed to what it technically actually is. Now, we always want to make sure it's still accurately describing our product. We never want to use any keyword phrases that are just completely random and don't apply to our product, because that's going to actually hurt our listing. But the key here is thinking like your shopper and how would your ideal customer describe this product. Now, we can always get ideas for great keyword phrases by starting in the Etsy search bar and looking at the suggested phrases that pop up when we start typing something in. But if we want to go a step further, there are actually Etsy specific research tools that we can use to find out the data on specific search volume. One of my favorite tools to use for this is Sales Samurai. So Sales Samurai has a Chrome extension that you can install. So when you come on Etsy and you search for something, let's say Christmas shirt, Etsy will bring up predictive phrases having to do with what I typed in, but next to it, I can see the estimated monthly search volume that Sales Samurai gives me to see how many times per month each of these phrases is searched. I can click on this little 500 more to the right, and that'll open up a whole tab where I can see related phrases to what I typed in, see the search volume for each of those phrases, and the competition. I can also come to Sales Samurai's website and use the keyword search tool here. So if I type in the same phrase, Christmas shirt, it'll show me the estimated monthly search volume for Etsy, as well as a lot of other data, including Etsy's most trending related keyword phrases and Google's most trending related keyword phrases. So I can come down to these most trending sections and click search volume to show the highest search volume first and filter these phrases in order of highest to lowest search volume. Then I can start to look on these related keyword lists to get an idea of more specific things that are being searched within this niche. So the second most searched under Christmas shirt is funny Christmas shirt. And then on Google, I can see the term Christmas men shirt is searched a good bit. And I can keep going down to get some ideas like Christmas family shirt, Christmas Hawaiian shirt, and so on. I'm constantly doing this kind of research to make sure that any product types I'm thinking of offering actually have relatively high search volume on Etsy, and then to get more specific ideas of what styles I might offer that product in. So if you're interested in trying out Sales Samurai, you can click the link in the description box below to get a free 3-day trial. I can't wait for you to try Sales Samurai. I have the link for the free trial in the description box below. And remember, if you input the code KATE20 when you sign up, if you decide to continue using Sales Samurai on a monthly basis beyond the free trial, then that'll give you 20% off your monthly subscription. Now, I want to thank Sales Samurai for sponsoring this portion of today's video. And once I had leveled up my shop and my listings with offering items that were in demand, incorporating professional looking photos, and strategic SEO, then I moved on to this last step, which was absolutely crucial in my journey, and that is that I actively promoted my shop with incentives. Now, I want you to catch the two different parts of this step. There's active promotion, so we're not just putting things up on Etsy and crossing our fingers, sitting back and hoping things start selling. So we have to be active about our marketing and promotion, and then the secondary part of this is adding on incentives or rewards for buyers to purchase now instead of waiting. These can be things like discount codes, free shipping, a freebie with your purchase, but you're basically adding an extra little something to offer to your potential customers to get those first few sales rolling in. Now, the reason we have to be active with our marketing and promotion is because there are so many listings on Etsy, and because of the way the Etsy algorithm works, one of the main factors that it uses to rank listings higher and higher is that listing's quality score, like I mentioned before. So one way to increase your listing's quality score is by getting more sales on that listing, but it's a little bit hard at first when you're not being ranked very high because you don't have any sales on the listing yet, so you're probably not being discovered very quickly. So the more action that you can take on your part to drive traffic from external sources like social media or email and drive those first few sales to get your listing quality score increased, the quicker your listing will start to rank organically and be shown organically to the shoppers that are already on the platform. But it's up to you in the beginning to get a little bit of that traction going. So like I just mentioned, one way that really worked for me is promoting on social media and primarily using local Facebook groups and niche specific Facebook groups. I tapped into groups where I knew people would be interested in what I had to offer, and then I posted regularly whenever I had a sale or a deal going on in those groups to make use of connecting with my target customer through social media. The truth is, at the end of the day, no one is going to know about your business unless you get out there and spread the word and tell people about it. So I made use of social media, and every person that would reach out to me specifically locally that was interested in purchasing something, I would send through my Etsy shop. So I would offer local pickup, but I would have them purchase through Etsy so that it would count as a sale towards one of my Etsy listings and help to increase that listing quality score. Now, another fun thing you can do to increase your brand awareness and get the word out is to make use of local fairs and market days. This was also something I did in the beginning that helped me get the word out because I made little cards that I would take and pass out that had my Etsy shop information. Also, a lot of times I would do a giveaway. I would have people sign up and they would register for my email list in return for being entered into the giveaway, which helped me to start building my email list. And if you've been around my channel any length of time, you know my love and passion for every business owner having an email list from the very beginning, because email marketing has by far the highest return on investment when it comes to different forms of digital marketing. I also reached out a lot to other sellers and influencers to be featured on their accounts, or to do joint collaborations like joint giveaways, or to do a feature swap where we featured each other on our accounts, but this just helped in terms of reaching a broader audience and getting my brand out there. I also created a brand ambassador program, which sounds pretty fancy, but it's actually not that big of a deal, and you can easily get one going by asking friends and family or people that you know would maybe be interested in being a brand ambassador for you, where you agree to give them a certain amount of free product every now and then. For us, we did it quarterly in exchange for them actively spreading the word, posting on their social media accounts, or whatever other forms of marketing you want to come to an agreement about, but it's basically free product in exchange for them helping spread the word about your business. The more you can stay active in promoting and marketing your shop and thinking of unique and fun ways to get the word out, to get people engaged with your business, the quicker you'll start to make sales in the beginning, and the whole cycle of the organic ranking will start to take off. So friends, those are the 4 key decisions I made and was really intentional about, that I feel like helped me grow my shop to the top 1% and to where it is today. So I hope those tactics help you. Definitely let me know if you have any questions about any of those in the comments below. I would love to chat with you about it. And make sure to click the links in the description box below to try out Sales Samurai for free for 3 days, and also to grab your free Etsy quick start guide. Happy selling!